Good morning. This Sunday morning I want to bring you the second of 3 sermons on sacred places. Last week we made a virtual visit to the 6th century monastic site Glendalough in County Wicklow in Ireland. Today I'd like to bring you to a simple and yet nonetheless equally sacred place. At least it is for me. Perhaps it will be for you too. We read from Matthew that in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising." This statement suggests that these wise men were likely outdoors somewhere. Well, I am blessed to live on a farm. The southern end of our property is woodland. There is a brook that runs through it. It is very quiet, and yet full of life by the number of tracks everywhere. There is something about this place. The light is different. The sounds are different. When I am there, it makes my senses tingle. There is a Gaelic term, andashale, which translates as second sight. It's an expression that originated in the highlands of Scotland. First sight being the physical world, and second sight, the world of spirits. Author Jason Harris wrote that one of the prevailing tendencies of folk legends is that the intrusion of the supernatural into the everyday world most often occurs along the borders between the wild and the civilized, whether it be on the edge of the woods, near a cave, or along the bank of a river, or shore of a lake or sea. Part of the reason for this dynamic of a metaphysical contact is that these are the realms where the known and the unknown collide. This metaphysical dynamic occurs frequently in the Bible. Consider the opening passages of Ezekiel, where we read, "In the 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the exiles by the river Chebar, the heavens were opened, and I saw a vision of God." In Daniel 10, we read, "On the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris, I looked up and saw a man clothed in linen with a belt of gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the roar of a multitude." We continue, where, of course, was Jesus baptized by John? Matthew tells us that it was in the Jordan River. Matthew tells us that as Jesus was baptized, just as he came up from the water, suddenly the heavens were opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." What do you experience when you walk in a wood, or sit by a lake, or a beach, or simply spend time in a garden? The light does seem somehow different, doesn't it? it seems as though we have a different awareness of the bones and the muscles in our body, don't we? Perhaps we experience second sight. There are many things that might happen in such places. For some, there is a moment of heightened sensory experience and disruption in the patterns of our regular activities. For many, these sensations are reminders of our smallness and insignificance. The very moment when we become less anxious, quiet enough to perhaps experience a glimpse of salvation, and to rescue secrets from our innermost memories that we may never fully know, and yet find new skills to understand. Charles Austin Miles is a name that you might recognize. He was a pharmacist who became a prolific writer of gospel songs. He's perhaps best known for his 1912 hymn, "In the Garden." Here is the first verse and the chorus. "I come to the garden alone, where the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known." Such places, gardens, woodlands, mountains, deep valleys, oceans, remind us to be patient, to surrender to something that we can never adequately name. We find a key to a locked door. We also, perhaps, find a new way to be restored following challenge and disappointment. In such places, we learn to contemplate new rituals for approaching life. We find peace. Psalm 4 reads, "I will both lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me lie down in safety." I invite you now to take just a minute to go to that place that you haven't perhaps thought about for a while, a place between the profane and the sacred. As we finish this morning, let us recite Psalm 23 together. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my